Now, it's a story that made headlines around the world after 19-year-old Harry Dunn tragically died in August 2019. His parents, Tim and Charlotte, have campaigned tirelessly for justice.
In August 2019, 19-year-old Harry Dunn was killed when his motorcycle collided with a car being driven on the wrong side of the road near a US military base in Northamptonshire. The car was being driven by American citizen Anne Sekulis, who was given diplomatic immunity and left the UK 19 days after the crash. Although she was charged with causing Harry's death, an extradition request was rejected by the US government, causing a diplomatic row between the two countries. Harry's parents, Tim and Charlotte, have campaigned tirelessly for justice for their son, including meeting President Trump at the White House and filing a civil case in the US. After 3 years of negotiations, 2 weeks ago, Anne Sekulis pleaded guilty to death by careless driving via video link at the Old Bailey in London. She'll be sentenced in late November. 3 years on from Harry's death, his parents finally have justice for their son.
Well, Harry's parents, Tim and Charlotte, join us now. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Thank you for being here today. And when you heard her plead guilty in that moment, something you'd been waiting to hear for 3 years, you said that you felt like you'd completed your promise to Harry, didn't you, Charlotte?
Yeah. It all came down to that moment, you know, that promise I made him the night that he was killed, that I would get him justice, you know, with my family and friends around me, listening to every word I was saying. It's the only thing that kept me going, you know, it was that burning and that yearning in the pit of your stomach. So all of these years on, 3 years on, to actually hear that guilty plea is almost indescribable. You know, the release of tension that you don't even realise you're holding on to. You know, your shoulders come down, the many, many silent tears that fell down every one of our faces that you didn't even expect to come, because you can't even begin to dream that that moment's going to happen. So it was just, yeah, almost indescribable. It was amazing.
Well,
really.
as we said, she pleaded guilty, not guilty to the charge of causing death by dangerous driving, but the CPS accepted her guilty plea to the lesser offence of causing death by careless driving. Judge, Mrs Justice Chima-Grubb, said, despite her conviction today, there is no order I can make to compel her at the Central Criminal Court for sentence. I direct that Mrs Sekulis attends court in person to be sentenced. If the sentence is one that does not involve immediate custody, there is to be no barrier to her returning home after the hearing. Personal attendance and voluntary surrender to the court of Mrs Sekulis would provide weighty evidence indeed of genuine remorse. Do you think she will be present for that?
I'm undecided. I hope for her and for us that she does come. I hope for her and her children that she can actually come and draw a line under this for her family as well as ours. I think if it doesn't, it doesn't. But for me, I think, you know, I think for her and her family as well as ours.
But she would be thinking, of course, that if she comes over here and that there is a sentence, then she's away from her children. Is that a risk that, as a mum, you would take?
Yes, I'd need to. You know, I would never be able to walk away and leave a family like we've been left. You know, there's just, I'd want my penance. I'd want to hand myself in. I'd want to get this done. You know, I could never see myself doing what she chose to do. And also, for the sake of my own children, how on earth would I have been able to rebuild my life if you're forever on the run? You know, because it's never going to go away. But if someone does come back and show their remorse in the best way possible, that Judge Chima-Grubb, you know, clearly pointed out, then she could redeem herself just a little bit and maybe give herself and her children and the rest of her family, because I'm sure it's affected them too, the chance to do exactly what we want to do, which is to find a new normal.
And this, actually, you've said the words new normal there, and I think people had mentioned that phrase to you over the years, a new normal, and only really now you can start to sort of understand what that means.
Yeah, it's taken us a long, long time, you know, because nothing's normal.
No.
Nothing's been normal. Nothing's going to be normal as it was to us before Harry was killed. You know, we just hope that we can get back to some sort of happy, like true happy. Yeah. You know, it's very hard. You still live with the pain every day of him not being there.
Absolutely.
But we owe it to not only ourselves, but obviously all of our family as well, to rebuild and to find a new happiness.
You don't want to see her take a custodial sentence, do you? And you don't want to see her separated from her children. She has 3 children, I think. Some of the children may have been in the car on that terrible day. But that's not what you're asking for.
No, we never have done. Right from day one, anyone that may have followed us from day one, one of the first things we said to the police, right within 48 hours of Harry being taken from us, was that, you know, we don't want to separate her from her children. We understand it was one horrific crash. Can't imagine what any of them saw that night. We're still yet to have our inquest because of our fight that we've had to get the justice. So there's still many details we need to find out for us to be able to try to start to sleep at night. But no, right from day one, we had no intention of separating her from her children, and we still stand by that.
Yeah.
But it's still about doing the right thing. You know, you can't, in any country, you shouldn't be able to just take someone's life and just walk away.
A lot of people have watched what you've done over the last 3 years in complete admiration and awe at basically your strength. You know, you are grieving parents. I think a lot of people would be struggling to get out of bed in the morning, and yet here you are, not only taking on the justice system on this side of the pond, but in America too. It's extraordinary what you've done.
Thank you.
You say it was actually Harry himself that inspired that strength, the time that you had with him, the person that he was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%,
definitely.
yeah.
He knew right from wrong.
He knew right from wrong, and he was like, of the 2 families, he was like the centrepiece that everybody loved, from grandparents on both sides, and with the support of our families as well. You know, the love we had for Harry is definitely why we would do this. And I think any parent would do the same. You can't explain it. When it happens, and you just, the deepness inside, the love, the deepness inside just gives you that strength and the will to keep going. You even when sometimes it felt like we were getting nowhere, you just dig deep and you still go and you still go. And here we are.
You speak to him every morning, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I do. A friend of mine, she's a good artist, and she drew a picture of me and Harry was at the football, and it's at the base of my stairs, and every morning I go down and I don't say Harry, I say good morning, my boy. It's just a thing, because I used to call him my boy anyway, and it sort of keeps me going. I think it's selfishly me not letting go in a way. So he's always in my life, and sometimes I think I dread the time when that will sort of fade, and I don't want that to fade. Does that make sense?
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Makes perfect sense, but I don't think it ever will.
No, I know, but I think, you know, as the years go by, because Harry will always be 19, and his twin brother Niall is moving on with us, and he's moving forward, and he's getting better and better, and he'll always get older where Harry won't, and I think, you know, so it's just my coping mechanism.
We talk about this so often in here, that if you lose somebody, and no parent should ever outlive their children, but if you lose anybody, keeping them in your life, talking about them, is principal to everybody healing.
It is, you know, it really helps. You know, that typical old saying, don't let them become the elephant in the room. That was always one of our aims. You know, Tim has you're able to look at photographs, and I'm not there yet, but I've got his spare biker jacket that still hangs on the dining room chair. And I've always said, you know, when this part of our campaign is done and sentencing's done, that will be framed in a big box, because he was a big lad, on the wall, and I'll be able to move it from the chair that he left it on. But you can never fully let them go.
You've never touched it?
I touch it all the time.
But it's never been
but
removed
it's
from
never
where-
been
where he
removed
put it.
from that chair. The odd time I've put it round my shoulders, but it goes straight back on the chair that he left it on.
And also, this is why it was so important for you to get closure in one aspect by justice, so that actually you can grieve, because you've been denied the right to grieve. I mean, I guess this is the beginning of your next challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got some more therapy. Well, mine actually starts again this week. I've had one session so far, but I think the way I describe it is there's a Pandora's box of hell down here, you know, not just from the grief, but with everything that we have been challenged by our own government, the US government, many things surrounding that, things that we found out about the way we were treated in the beginning, why we were treated that way. So apart from the grief and apart from being robbed of the time to grieve, there's a lot. There's a lot of anger down there, not with her, but with the way we were treated. And there's a lot to be discussed and a lot to be opened up.
You've turned down family occasions whilst you've been doing all of this. You've not been able to get into that sort of thing. And now you say you're ready to begin to be part of the family again. And I suppose Christmas looks very different this year.
Yeah, completely, you know, because when we got that guilty plea, for me, it was able to look up and say, Harry, we done it. You know, my promise is complete. And we, our little tiny team, Harry, along with the media support and the public support, which has just been incredible. And without Rad, our advisor, you know, we would not be where we are. You know, we are so thankful to all of you because we can do Christmas this year now. We can have a real tree. We can put the presents back under it. You know, the last 3 Christmases, we've just pushed it aside, pretend it's not happening. And it's just been another painful day that you have to get through like every other day. But it's been extremely difficult because every shop you go into, the Christmas music's playing, every TV advert that comes on. But yeah, I think this year we are going to be able to smile and we are going to do Christmas.
Good. That is amazing to hear. And you deserve it. And you've done so much. And
you are remarkable.
Yeah. Honestly.
We're tired, but...
I bet you are. I bet you are.
We're
What a tragedy that you had to fight so hard and learn so much. But you know, maybe you've eased the way for if this horrible thing ever happens, a similar sort of thing again to some other family that you might have.
We hope so.
We do hope so that
pave the way
others can see that it can be done. And you can fight and you can get there.
Stand up, stand your ground, and do your best. That's all you can ever do.
All right. Well, lots of love. Love to all the family as well.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.